You know what time it is. It's time for a wood carving project. This is another whittle. This would probably be considered an intermediate to advanced whittling project as far as I'm concerned, but lots of fun to be had in this project, and all with a knife. I had a lot of fun with this one. I enjoyed it, and I actually took it from the online school. I did a much more advanced version, as can be seen here. And I did a full instructional video on that, along with many others on fundamentals of wood carving. That's the link below in the description. It's an online school where I add a new project every month, and it creates this kind of log of, 55 plus videos. Check that out if you want to see it. Why did I draw this on my hand? Anyway, that's that. New video every month. Usually, actually, I do like 2 or 3 videos every month, but that's beside the point. I promise one. And each project ranges from like a little elf man like this, like a whittle project, all the way to like really advanced stuff like the mountain man that I showed you here. And you can see all the videos scrolling by me, but check that out. Without further ado, though, let's get into the project.
All right, so in this project, of course, we're using our 2x2 that we've halved. Kind of our typical setup here, and very similar to the other projects that we've done as far as whittling. We've got our pencil, we've got our measuring device here, just a cheap ruler, and then finally we've got some sort of a strop. Got an example of a hand strop here. That's an awesome tool that you can use to polish your blade. Of course, if you've never used a strop before, the goal is to keep the blade flat against the tool. If you have a good carving blade, it should be a solid grind from the heel to the cutting edge, like so. So just kind of one angle. But if you have a step in your angle, maybe you're using a Flexcut, you want to keep it parallel to the bevel of the tool. And if you're looking for what those terms are, just search bevel. Anyway, point being, you want to leave that bevel parallel to the leather and just gently pull it. And you should see some residue coming off of the blade, darkening up the strop. This is a great option if you're looking to start out and keep your knife nice and sharp. And you should do that at least once every time you use your tool. And of course you do both sides of the blade. Another really nice option if you're looking to upgrade, maybe those of you who are more advanced. This is a tool, it's a stropping tool. Really handy if you're looking to sharpen a tool. Maybe you dropped a blade and you got a nick in it and you want to reshape it. Well, this is an exchangeable belt. Right here I've got the stropping belt on it, so it works very similar to a hand strop in that you keep it parallel to this stropping part, but it's powered, so straight. It gives you that nice polish. And this is made by Work Sharp. This is a Ken Onion knife sharpener. And anyway, this is a really neat tool. Available in the description below if you're trying to get one. It does help me from the link. If you want to purchase it from the link, it makes a difference. Anyway, I digress. Let's get actually into the carving here. So I've got a little kind of idea of what's going to happen as far as measurements, and we're going to start about 1.5 inches from the top down. I'm just going to draw a little line, just like that. Alright, and we've established the top of the line with our knife. We're going to go straight in and just cut a little V out. This is considered a V cut. You can imagine why. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned my knife from Matt at Deep Holler Knives, DHK. It's my first time using this knife, and from what little I've done with it, so far so good. Anyway, I'm making a V cut. Again, it's called a V cut because, well, I won't even say it. You can just take one angle in, and then another angle equal, and then if you did your job properly, that chip should fall out. So that's our first step. And again, that's the 1.5 inch mark from the top. I'm going to extend this line and take this V all the way over and actually give it a slight downward turn. So not just coming straight across, coming down a little bit. Maybe not so much as that, but more like that. Yeah. And of course we have our eraser nearby. At least we should. Found it. I'm using a kneaded eraser. It's much needed in this situation. Pun intended. Anyway, this is a kneadable eraser, and that you can move it around kind of like Play-Doh. And this just isn't fun. It actually does a really great job of removing pencil marks from the surface. Anyway, so yeah, just a turn downward. And extend that stop cut. Yeah, nice job, Matt. This is a nice knife. Of course, this is not sponsored by him and his knives, but his knives. But it's a great knife so far. We shouldn't speak too soon. But yeah, it's nice and thick, which I do like. I like the thicker blade. It's easier to push against. Yeah, it does make it a little harder to push into the wood, though. And from what Matt told me, he likes to make these a little thinner. I requested a little bit thicker, and but yeah, I would trust him. He's a master. So far, looks like a good knife. All right, so now I've established that, I'm going to come about 1 inch down from here, and let's just make that measurement. Make sure we're actually 1 inch from the 1.5 inch point. Alright, then this is actually going to be our nose, so we'll just carry the angles off like so, kind of like little wings. Okay, so come in like that, and like that. And I'll just take a little bit out from underneath. So really take your time for a project like this. Don't rush it. Okay, so made the V cuts and came underneath, and some little channels there. I take the tip of that V, flatten it just a little bit, take the point out of it. All right, now I'm going to come from the 1.5 inch mark up here down. I'll say about I'm going to say about 3/8 of an inch. That's my guess. So I'm just guessing here, but you can measure this part. And it's at that line that I'm going to just come in and make another little V cut, like so, and come in across, like so. All right. Notice I'm kind of thinking about it as kind of 3 separate cuts. One here, one here, and one here. Okay. What's really cool about this most recent little V channel is you can already see some of that face coming in, and that's exciting, right? One thing I like to do, usually at the beginning, but sometimes we forget, you just take the rough edges off the piece. Again, little nod to Doug, to Linker, and I see why he does this. I really do. It's not fun to hold onto a piece of wood with a lot of sharp edges. So far, the deep holler knife is doing pretty good. Had to stop for just a moment earlier and polish it up. A little dent got into the edge of the blade, but handle feels pretty nice. It's beefy. I like that about it. I like the size of the handle, and I love the cedar. So thanks again to Matt. And yep, just taking all the corners off. Very nice. Making this a little bit easier to handle. Okay. All right, so now that I've established the hat brim, brow ridge, nose, I'm going to come, let's say just about 1/4 of an inch down and create a little V. I could draw this on if it makes you feel any better. Like so. We've been hitting the beards really hard lately, the bearded characters. There's just so many fun things that you can do in this form factor. So I'm just creating the V upside down, just like that. And yeah. Yeah, I'm liking this knife a lot. Great job. Alright. So, got upside down V here. Right side up V here. With a kind of a flat bottom. And then we kind of created a line that kind of curves downward. Almost matches the line that curves downward here. So that's where we're at. I'm going to take and extend this second line from the first line we made down. And just widen it out a little bit. Just take a little bit more material out of the sides. And now I think I'm going to start to take some material off the top of his head. I want to just kind of get the overall shape of him. Round his head off a bit, and because he's got a fur cap, he's going to have actually not quite the same as Mrs. Claus, but a surprising amount of overlay there if you check that video out. I'm not particularly recommending it though, because well, Mrs. Claus doesn't look so cute in that video, if I'm being honest. It's kind of one of my earlier attempts at a knife-only Whittle project. Anyway, let's pretend that never happened, huh? But if you would like to see an embarrassing-looking carving and a very kind of similarly shaped hat, you can check that out. So I'm just taking off the flat edges. Anytime you get a little line like that, you can see these little lines here. That's from the blade. It's from a little dent in the blade. So I like to have my sharpening system near me. In this case, just to speed things up, I'm going to use the word sharpen. Oh, not going to do it on camera though, because I don't want to be loud. All right, back from the strop. And we've got a sharper tool for all that effort, and just taking some material at the top of his head. And again, it's really important that when you're holding a piece of wood in your hand and you're carving, that you either have a glove or you practice a high degree of knife safety. Notice the trajectory of my blade is never towards my knife, my hand rather, my thumb. And that's a big deal. And if it is, I want to have my other hand anchoring it, so that if it is in the path, at least I have a stop, right? Something like that. So there's of course push cuts, which are cuts where of course your hand is behind the cutting edge and your dominant hand, or the hand that's holding the knife, kind of pushes. You're actually kind of using the weight of your chest and shoulder to push that, and sometimes you might even move the wood. But there's also other types of push cuts. There's kind of your more typical, safer push cut, which has a bit of a rocking motion to it, a little bit of leverage at the pivot point of your thumb. Your thumb is sort of the fulcrum. This is a really nice controlled kind of cut to be able to make. Anyway, I digress. I don't want to round this over too much, turn him into Santa. So let me flatten him out a little bit more, take a little bit more out of the top. Okay. He's going to have a fur cap, and he's a man, right? very much like the Viking. He's kind of a wild man, but the Viking at least has some civilized qualities to him, you'd think, at least. But the mountain man is a man of the wilderness, right? So a real kind of different kind of a bohemian character, very much like the Viking, which is why these are so interesting. Really, just as a historical people groups, and also just interesting visually, right? Because they've got all this kind of fur and adornment. In the case of the fur trappers, if we're looking at the French Canadian fur trappers, or French fur trappers, not necessarily French Canadian. You're really dealing with people who were kind of in direct relationship with native people and indigenous folks of the Americas, right? And so you've got a really interesting kind of variety of things to do with beadwork and all that. So this is just taking some material off the top of his head, and I'm going to define the side of his hat here, and I'm just going to continue this line over. Just make some small cuts, slowly kind of getting that silhouette pared down. And you can also kind of narrow this if you'd like. Just getting that defined. You can start by kind of narrowing this out if you'd like before you do the stop cut. Make a little more sense. Like so. I'm taking a chunk out of there. Very good. Alright, so right now it's looking a little round, and yeah, we'll make that a little less uniform as we go. And in fact, since we're looking at major shapes, let's do that. Let's take some chunks out of it. Really, I'm going to take some big scooping chunks, and then some sharper kind of V-cuts, right? Because the fur trapper is going to have a kind of wide hat that it's made of fur, so it's going to look wild. It's not going to look perfectly uniform. And so you can see that I want to make sure people aren't seeing it and thinking, why is this bearded guy wearing a helmet? We don't want that. So just breaking up these edges, just so people can see that it's, you know, it's a wild man's hat. Okay. Right, now I'm going to come just above this line here. This was our 1.5 line, our first cut of the project, and just about, let's say, 1/8 inch above. Just cut a little V coming off the front to start, like so. Just a little V groove, little channel in there. And now I'm going to carry it over. Just carry that over like so. Following the hat brim, our initial cut kind of turns downward, like so. I'm just taking little chunks out at a time, little bites, as Doug would say, little bits and bites and chunks. Wee little jagged bits, as as the what is it, the people of is it the Scots? One of our commenters is constantly commenting that we jagged bloody bits, something along those lines. All right, so we've come in and established the and bloody, not in his sense, in the sense of, you know, you're getting your blood all over him, right? We're not, no expletives in this video, so. Hopefully not bloody, hopefully you're keeping your hands safe. Anyway, coming in here, little indentations don't hurt. Right here is just to indicate the texture of the hat. Little lines and grooves are helpful there. Right. And coming down to that initial groove and taking the sharp angle out of this top part of that V channel that we made, and just kind of leaving this almost a visor type situation here. Okay. All right, so moving on, I'm going to establish the bottom of his beard, and being that we wanted to try and allude to some beadwork down here, right, to show people that he's a mountain man. I'm going to come down, let's grab my tape measure and actually see here. I'm going to say probably about 2 inches. Yeah, that looks right. 2 inches down from the nose. So. Okay. Now, you know, in many cases, as I'm doing these kind of bearded fellows, I'll take the beard all the way to the base, but again, being that I want this guy to have a little beadwork if possible, a little necklace or something to indicate he's a mountain man, I'm going to leave a little room for that down here. Okay, so I'm just creating a big old V channel. See that? Lots of material is coming out there. In fact, this is probably the deepest, most significant cut on the face of this piece, is this, really this chin kind of cut. And this is his chest right down here, this area. You see that? Sorry, went off the camera there. All right, so I'm going to take this over. Extending this line, I'm actually kind of going round, a little bit of a rounded thing here, like so. Okay, so that's his beard. Now you can really see it. Okay, coming slow and steady, and yeah, it's looking great. We've got a nice little outline, and yeah, it's a lot of saw material to remove, saw marks. I mean, these little jagged edges, we call them saw marks or saw chatter. And so to do that, I'm just going to start by taking it out of the forehead, right? All the saw chatter up here. So slightly kind of rounding it over, taking some material back here. And you can see how I'm just getting rid of that rough texture. Okay, so at this point we can make a few cuts that are, well, if you're familiar with some of my other videos, you'll see somewhat similar to the others I've done. So I'm going to take a little V groove out of the top of the mustache, right? So we've got the bar, we got one bar, and we've got the other bar of the mustache, right? We call each little section a bar, right? And I'm gonna come just above, say, well, maybe close to 1/2 inch. Come straight in, parallel to this cut, and take that little wedge out. In so doing, kind of establishing the side of the nose as well. So I'm going to come over to this other side, like so. Same thing over here. Going straight in, about 1/2 inch up from the top of the mustache. Cutting that V channel out, like so. I can carry this channel down a little lower if I like, which I do. I do like. And that's that. All right, so that's looking mighty fine, if you ask me. Now, per usual with our bearded fellows, I'm going to take the line of his beard down from the side of his cheek to meet this mustache and just kind of establish his furry face. And so I'm going to come in here with a knife like so. Create a line kind of going along that drawing that we made, just like that. Take that chunk out. Same thing over here. Line straight in, and then chunk out. It should freely come out like so. And you can already see, again, this never fails to bring me a little smile because you can already tell the forms are there. So that's great. All right, so I'm going to narrow the forehead a bit more. I'll take some more material on the side of the forehead as it meets the hair. So if I were to draw a center line here, and that is a good idea if you can, do so. It's definitely helpful. So coming in, I'm gonna guess it's about an inch wide, but it could be a little wider. I'm gonna test it out. Yeah, it is. It's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches wide. So from one side of the forehead to the other, about 1.25 inches. And I'm going to go straight in on those lines that I drew, like so. Right, so my knife is going straight in. And a little stop cut up here. Right, so really just kind of a V. Here's the one side of the V, here's the other. And then complete the V, just take a little chunk out. Right, so then I'm coming down and I'm meeting those two cuts so that they come free. It's a bit of a challenge when you're starting out to figure out these little cuts. It's actually somewhat of a pyramid cut, right? So pyramid cut being a, an inverted pyramid. Pyramid. All right, so same thing over here. Right, so cut there. Cut there. I'm going to complete this pyramid, like so. And if it doesn't come out, just come back in and gently cut those, make them even deeper, and then it'll come out like so. We've got the narrow of the forehead, and really, we could take some of this out of the cheek as well. So let's extend this line. Right, we've got this V here. I'm going to come up here and then down to the base of the V. Just cut a bit away, like so. Okay. See that? So really, gonna come straight down here for the hair, but whatever floats your boat, as long as you get there. As long as you get there. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of the saw marks out of the cheek area. Like so. Because a lot of times these get away on me. And they sneak into the final carving because I didn't get rid of them. Okay. All right, moving on. He's shaping up quite nicely. I want to get a little bit more depth coming down to the neck. Really want to pare this down, and it's a hard piece of basswood, actually. Believe it or not, this. It's got a lot of density to it. I think it was a knotty piece of wood. And so you can try to use leverage in a situation like this, where you've got a hard piece of wood. Just bringing this chest area back a little lower. like so. How about that? Hopefully I was in frame there. You can see that. Just taking the corners out here as well. And taking the kind of pyramid out of this face. And again, get rid of those saw marks, huh? You don't want those bad boys showing up. All right, making some really great progress on this little guy, and slowly but surely, he's taking form. Look at that. All right, so I want to create the nose. It's got a French nose, so a little, maybe a tiny bit of a turn to it. And now we're going to take a little bit more out of the V of his mustache, like so. Okay. I want to separate the hair from his beard and mustache, right? So his hair coming from his head, of course, I want it to come down and have a little bit of a wave to it. So I'm just going to come like so. See that? And then take that little V channel out. I want this guy to have a big bushy beard, right? So I don't want to take away too much. I don't want to take this line too far in. But same over here. Create that hairline going straight in, and then relieve. Take a little section out to relieve that little section like so. And there you have the kind of boundaries of the hair meets the beard. Okay, bring that down. How about that? And just taking sections out of his beard and rounding it over like so. Now you don't need to have a pair of Crocs for this project, you don't. But certainly doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt the project at all either. Alright. This French trapper, you know, you gotta think about him and think about what he thought about all day, you know. Did he have a girlfriend? You know, what did he eat? You know, did he like his life? You know, was he lonely? Did he have buddies out there? Kind of a lonely guy. So, I don't know. Maybe he's enjoying the fact that we're out here helping him out, freeing him from the piece of wood. So, I don't know. So we're coming at the mustache here. We're just widening that V up a little bit. Just taking a little bit more out of each side of that little V where the top of the mustache meets the cheek. And it's at this point that I think is a fair time to practice a really neat little V cut that defines the shape of the eyes quite quickly. So I'll draw it first, show you with our pencil. I'm going to come in here like so with a V cut. One on each side. Like so. Excuse my accidental double line. Let's erase the one we didn't need to have there. Alright, so you see that V here and V here. We're just going to come in, straight in, like so. See that? And then same thing on this side. I don't want these lines to connect. Right? I want there to be a little separation between them. In fact, it's almost parallel to our original top of the mustache line. Right? It might be a little angled in more, but the idea is it's not running down into it. All right, then we're going to make the top line like so. Coming in especially deep at the connection point of the two wings of the V, right at the bottom of the V here, right there. And again, on this side, emphasizing depth on the inside of that V, like so. All right, so now that I've done that, we're going to remember that pyramid cut that we did on the side of his face and take a little chunk out from the inside corner of his eye, just like that. See that? Coming in from the side, like so. Right? And then popping that sucker out.
Same thing down here. Reestablishing that bottom line. And just maybe take a little bit more out from this bottom V. Just like so. How about that? The beginning of the eye mound in just a few cuts. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hard lines out of the equation here. Just kind of take the edges off and a little bit of a scoop cut on either side of his nose. Now, we've talked about the scoop cut before. It's kind of a unique cut that involves going into the wood, ever so slightly turning your hand like so, and pulling the knife out of the wood. Now, you can't do this in every grain direction. The wood limits you in some ways and has its own kind of opinions. But so long as you're going the proper direction the wood allows you, you can use the scoop cut to remove little bits of material and make a more gradual slope, like so. So I'm anchoring the tip of my knife in this inside corner of the V, and I'm just ever so slightly turning the blade, like so. All right, just like so, right? Curved cuts, how about that? That's something worth practicing. Might take a little while, but just stick with it. Super, super nice cut to know how to do. All right. Now I'm liking his nose. It's nice and long. It's not too wide, but it's a nice nose. It's a nice trapper nose, I think. Appropriate. And going to take another V cut out of the outside corner of his eye. A lot like the one that we did on the inside corner, but just turn the other way around. So a little groove here, a little groove here, same thing here, same thing here. See that? Make that darker for you. All right. Go and angle in, get that little chip out. Same thing here. Boom, boom, like so. Make that cut a couple of times, make sure it's distinguished little groove, not just a pencil mark anymore. And the same thing talked about before, a little deeper on the joining part of the two wings of the V here and here. So deeper in that inside corner. And the same thing here, all right? Beauty of this is we're actually creating the bags under the eyes and the mound of the eye at the same time, right? How about that? Just taking a bit out, round in the eyes, if you will. Coming underneath, a little turn to connect these two lines coming down here and there, like so. How about that? I'm going to take a little bit more off of his nose. It looks a little low here, so like so. Okay. Take a little bit more out of his nose bridge. He almost had a Greek nose before, you know, that continuation of the nose to the forehead. Or he's probably not Greek, this trapper. I'm not a historian, but I don't know of a lot of Greek trappers, and could be wrong though. All right. Just gonna widen, take a little bit out of the brow ridge here. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. Let me just take this down, like so. And now that I've established the bottom of the eye area, I'm going to just take a little slice out from underneath the eye, because I want the eyeball to stand away from this cheek area here. Do just some subtle cuts, like so. And the same thing over here. And the same thing in here.
Looking pretty good. Still got that frog hiding in my throat. Excuse me. All right. Very good. You can see the character coming out in his face just from taking that cheek area down. I'm going to get the side of his profile kind of set in with a little indication of his nostril flare. Right, so a little curve. Notice I'm kind of holding the knife like a pen. This is an advanced technique, but once you master it, it makes a big difference. So, all right, little pen sort of type grip and just coming around, defining that nostril flare like so. Again, notice the way I'm using the sort of thumb, non-dominant thumb, as a fulcrum for the knife. It's sort of resting on my thumb as I rock it around to establish the nose, flare, and ball. A little kind of protruding part of the nose there. Okay. And making some nice progress there. Okay. Taking the saw cuts out of the cheek. Yeah, we don't need those. Not necessary. Okay. Stop cut at the base of the mustache and beard, like so. I'll narrow the bridge a little. Just come in and take that scoop and cut. Notice my hand gesture there. Scoop and cut there. And here, like so. How about that? All right. Making some headway on this mamba. All right, very good. Just going to again take some of the saw marks out of his beard. Just taking my time, coming in. Get rid of those big ol' saw marks. I don't know why I thought of this or what it has to do with this carving, but wife's really close friends invited us to meet him this New Year's, halfway between our hometowns. So went to kind of meet up in Chicago, and so messaged my wife saying, hey, we booked a really nice dinner, and you know, tickets got them before they went away, and only $200 a person for the dinner. And my wife read that, and of course she's married to a wood carver, so we're not the wealthiest people in the world, right? We're not rich. We have a very good life, but we're not rich, and so I read that. Basically lost our cool. Said she booked reservations to a place, and she said, we already paid for it. So you guys can Venmo me. Just, you know, use a payment service to pay us. and thank me later. And we just could not believe it. We were so upset. And oh man, just thinking about all the money that we're spending, $400 between the two of us just on a dinner alone. That's after hotel, after travel expenses, you know. And just sat with it for a while and said, all right, well, that's the way it is. I'm sure it's going to be a really nice dinner. And it is Chicago, so finally, as we started to accept it, got a call from them saying, we were 100% just trying to get you to respond to our messages. Apparently, Annalise is slow to the draw in responding to their messages sometimes, and they like to mess with her. So, they, anyway, I don't know. Back to the carving. We're just, again, slowly kind of getting rid of the saw marks, trying to round off the beard and mustache. I'm going to take a little V-cut to separate the left and right bars of the mustache. I'll try to keep this thing more centered there. It was still in frame, but dangerously close to being out of frame. Okay. Little cuts here, and just rounding them over. Rounding them over. Like that. Alright. Very good. And really, these stop cuts that we're making all around the outside of the mustache are going to allow us to round the mustache a little bit more efficiently without losing the dimensionality of the mustache. So, just a fancy way of saying we want to make sure it isn't totally flat. So, keep making these nice stop cuts. Going around the top and bottom of the mustache, deepening those cuts. Little V channels go a little deeper. That way when we come in to take the saw marks off, there's still a little mustache left behind for us to round over. Right? That's the idea. Okay. Now the mustache may actually come a little bit ahead of the beard, so you can take that knife and establish a longer cut for the mustache, and just, again, that little V channel, just to indicate that the mustache is standing out a little taller than the beard. And he's looking pretty good. Take a little away from the hair. Again, practice the scallop. Give him a little bit of a wavy look. Of course, very much like our Viking and our wood spirits sort of Father Time character, his hair is not going to be very perfect. It's going to have lots of, I don't know, I mean, who knows, probably twigs in it, so it's not going to be clean. It's going to be gross and not oily. I mean, who knows when the last time this guy's had a shower, right? So do not make it too straight, is my point. Too perfect. I'm just going to come in and mess it up a little bit, that's all. Little curves. Okay. Take the hair, kind of end it here. Okay, I don't want the hair to be kind of coming down into the front of his shoulder too hard. It's kind of not the look we're going for. So I'm going to end it with a little bit of a pyramid cut here. Like so. Same thing over here. For the sake of time, I'm making some dangerous cuts here, right? Number one, I'm not using a thumb guard. Number two, no glove. And I'm also making, like I said, deep cuts, and so it's safe and proper to use a glove and a thumb guard when you're carving, especially if you're starting out. So don't forsake those as beginners, unless you're very familiar with the tool. That's all. I recommend it. And I'm just kind of rounding the chest area, like so. Separating that out, and when we step back, you can see the beard is separated from the neck. All right. We're nearing finished with this guy. We've got to open up his eyes, of course, and also play a little bit with the grooves There's beard. It's a dense piece of basswood. Yours will probably not be as dense as mine, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. It means it'll be a lot easier to carve. Okay. Just establish that little separation in the mouth, and let's talk about the eyes. This guy's seen a lot of life. He's been hunting, he's been trapping, he's been exploring. He's probably tired, and so I want to kind of show that by giving him some heavier kind of hood over his eyes. So I'm going to come across from the top corner of his eye down to the bottom, like so, and just make a little cut like I just did, little cut straight in, like so, right? Make this one a little higher to match the other side. And I'm going to take just a little chunk, laying the tool flat on the wood, just a little bit up to that line, and just like so, a little bit of wood up to that line. Cool. Like so. Then I'm going to come underneath. I'll draw this one on just so you can see where I'm going. And just a little opening for the eye, right? Like so. Same thing here. He's got those tired eyes, right? He's seen a lot. So we're gonna come in, again, follow that line with our blade. Not pushing too hard, just to make sure we're happy with our location for those eyes. And then notice I'm not going too many steps ahead. I'm just making one cut on one side, and making another cut on the same cut on the other side. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is I'm not getting too far on one side before the other. So I'm trying to develop both sides at the same time, and that's helping with symmetry. So now I'm going to take my knife, try to get real close, and just take the tip of the blade, laying it flat against the carving, tilting it ever so slightly downward, the tip, cutting edge downward, until it just grabs. You just take a little bit of material out from atop this little line that we just created. Right? Doesn't have to be perfect. Just trying to reduce the material in between these two stop cuts that we made up here and down here. Right? You can see just removing a tiny bit of material really does a lot to show off the ball that's recessed in there, even if it's not a perfect ball, because God knows who could get in there and make a perfect ball. Right? We could do it if we had enough time and tools, but we're just not interested in making it that perfect. So just like that, we've got our character set in, and you can get the eraser out and get rid of some of these pencil marks that are kind of distracting. Make him almost look like he's got eyeliner on, which I'm not sure was the case for many of these mountain men. Okay, how about that? I mean, that is he's kind of a friendly looking guy. I've seen a lot. He's better for it. He's humbled by the world, humbled by nature, humbled by his life, and he's a really nice little character, actually. These are super fun if you're interested in American history. You know, maybe you're reading some classic novels about the frontier, or some fiction, and just nothing more interesting than these characters. Just such an interesting life that the French had with the trappers, I mean, in general, had with the native people, and just the lives of the native people as well, you know, indigenous folks in the Americas, and just an interesting bit of American history. So anyway, I have a bit more to do on this, you know, texture the beard, of course, but we're going to keep it pretty simple, not do a whole lot. We're going to bring this video to a close, taking a couple of big chunks at the base of his beard, like so. Okay. This is just to break up the monotony of his beard, right? Just like so. And you can spend all night long working on his beard and hair, and even do some beadwork down below. You could create a little necklace, and I could allude to that a little, just show a little of how I would go about it. We won't finish it in this video though, for sure, because we're definitely nearing the end. We don't want to push ourselves to the point of exhaustion with this, right? So we're getting close to that point though. So taking the sharp edges out of the forehead, just like that. And just like that, we've got a nice expression, kind of a stoic expression. There's something about him though. He's content, right? All right. Carve some of these pencil lines away. Carve some grooves in his fur hat, using those scooping motions. Notice the reflection of the blade from the turning. Just getting those little lines and grooves, giving him some character, like so. How about that? There we go. All right. That is just a great little representation of a project that I think anyone can do, given some time, some practice. Appreciate you guys watching this, and hope you enjoyed. We're going to call this one a wrap for now. Just do a little line work here to show you what it's like. Just coming in, straight in, for that medallion in the center here. Like so. Come in on the other side, do the same thing. Just free that medallion. Like so. And, but again, I really do appreciate the time that you spent with me today, and I just absolutely enjoy these. I was talking to my dad earlier today, and he was saying, you know, Alec, you got to make time for what you love. And I told him, I genuinely, Dad, I love these simplified little projects. I mean, you know, I've carved art and, you know, made sculpture for my entire adult life, and something so deeply satisfying about just these little whittles. I mean, it's just simplifying the forms, getting them in, and no fuss, just making it, you know, simple. Something very rewarding in that, and so I love it. I'll continue to do so. Continue to make these little videos so long as I can, and I'm enjoying it, and it's been fun for me so far. So thanks again for supporting. I do appreciate it, and yeah, if you want to check out the online school, if you want to see some of the more advanced projects, you know, kind of the way that I make a living is through those. I sell those realistic faces and portraits and all that to collectors all over, and I love that part of my job, and I really enjoy that. So you can see here I'm just kind of doing some stop cuts here on either side of the little lines that we drew earlier, and just bringing out these kind of little kind of strips of material, kind of turn, really just indicating a bear tooth, like a bear tooth necklace. So just going on either side to expose that little kind of turned bear tooth. Right? So going in one side, coming over and in as well, and turning like so, and end with that V cut. Just coming in, leaving that. And you can see how we're establishing that. So, all right, so I did go ahead and start to clean up down here a little around these little bare teeth and, well, not so little bare teeth. Anyway, I also started to detail the hair, but I wanted to show you how I'm doing that. And main thing here is just to use kind of S shapes and try to use this scooping motion if you can. It's really helpful and easy to do once you've figured it out. So yeah, I'm just coming in and creating grooves, right? So a little S shape V, right? And following it, going alongside it, that first cut. And then if it doesn't come out, means you didn't complete the cut. There you go. Okay, and trying to get rid of that saw chatter as well. Taking that knife and scooping out against a nice stop cut. So this is the way that I texture the hair. I try not to go overboard with this because there's absolutely no reason to detail every little hair. You just want to get the major kind of situation in place. All right, so that's that. And pretty close to calling this a finished piece. You could really, spend a little more time on this and really refine it and get it ready for market. If you wanted to sell it, you could you could do a lot with this little thing. You could turn it into an ornament. If you wanted a mountain man ornament, you could make it a little wall hanging piece. It could freestand because we left a flat base. You could also carve this base off. In other words, leave some of this tooth overhanging, like so. Just where you take out some of that bare tooth necklace. Just have it kind of stand away from the bottom. There's all kinds of things that you can do here with this piece. And in conclusion, once again, thanks you so much for joining. I hope that this was informative in some way, and we'll see you in the next video. And blessings. Have a good day. As I make a change to the face that I should document, just coming around the nostril flare and taking a little bit of that out. Oh, looks like I bumped the forehead. All right. Just coming underneath the nose a little more transition is all I was looking for, just like that. Okay, take the saw marks out of the nose, and we're in good shape. And I'll just clean off some hairs here and there. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. And one final thing, little addendum to the to the lesson here, is these little lines right at the inside corner of the bridge, so where the bridge meets the forehead. I just came in with a little V, like so. Came in down here into the corner of the eye. And same thing on the other side. And turn it upside down if it helps. A little groove in here. Carry that up a little ways, not too high up the forehead necessarily. And that gives it a kind of look of concern. Alright, well, that's my little addendum to the workshop or lesson. I keep saying workshop. Alright, see you guys in the next one.
A Fundamentals of Woodcarving Production.